Hey, what's up, guys? I'm going to be recording a branded Buster Blader combo test stand video. For a couple months ago, I did the deck profile, and I never really did the combo portion of the video. If you play branded, you know it's a very powerful fusion engine that you can splash in like Dark Magician, Red Eyes, even Blue Eyes, and of course Buster Blader, and even the new deck branded Chimera. But branded as itself was always one of my favorite meta archetypes because I just love the fusion archetype, and it was dragons, and it was just all around a pretty fun archetype to play, and it really gave boost to decks that predominantly fusion summon, hence why branded Chimera is a really powerful and popular deck. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by shuffling my deck just like the last video on the Blue Eyes combo test stand video. Like I said, we'll pile shuffle because you always want to pile shuffle your deck because you don't want to get the same amount of cards, the same cards in your hand, and this just guarantees that it gets shuffled the most well and efficiently. So we'll go ahead and start pile shuffling. If you guys would leave down in the comments different cards I could potentially play in the deck to update it. I know I haven't updated it in the past couple months, but it's still pretty strong considering what board we can establish if we go first. That's predominantly what we want to do. But yeah, just let me know down in the comment section below what cards I could potentially play in this to make it better. I was thinking more some bestial monsters, but then again, having 3 engines in one might be kind of clunky, so I'm not quite sure. But yeah, just let me know down in the comment section below what cards you think I could add to this deck, change the deck, or even change some of the ratios. And if you're wondering what the deck is or what cards I play in the deck, you can go check out the deck profile on my channel. I did record it incorrectly, so the angle is a little bit off, and I am sorry about that. But like I said, it's still the same deck from that video. So we'll ask our opponent to nicely cut the deck. They cut the deck. So with this deck, you want to predominantly get to 2-card combos, and there's multiple 2-card combos in this deck. But if you don't open both, if you just open the branded engine, that's still good. And if you just open the Buster Blader engine, that's also good. Now there's also a chance that we just don't open anything, but then again, that's pretty much every single deck that it always has the chance to break, even this one. And this deck was really good. I played it back in July of last year when Branded was an actual thing in a local tournament. I got first place with it, but yeah, as you know, Branded's not really seeing meta competitive play right now because of other decks like Pearly, even I think still Castir to an extent. But yeah, so we're going to get into the first one. I'm just going to predominantly do going first chance because you just want to do that with the deck, but I'll do 1 or 2 going second hands, and then I'll show you the multiple 2-card combos. So we draw into an Aliber. That's an extremely good first draw. Prologue, we already have 2-card combo. These 2 cards, 2-card combo, and you're going to see why. This is great. Albion, that's a great upstart goblin. I tend to use that for. Fallen of Albaz, and of course, Branded Fusion. So this hand is extremely good because we got the 2-card combo, and we have a Ash or Valor negate. So because we drew the Branded Fusion. But starting out, I'm actually going to go ahead and use Albion's effect. His effect is to where we can send a Branded spell trap either from the deck or hand to the grave, and based on this effect, if it's from the deck, I can place this card at the bottom of my deck and draw a card, and that's pretty much what I'm going to do. And the Branded spell or trap I'm going to send to my graveyard is a copy of Branded Opening. The reason why I'm just sending the Branded Opening to my graveyard is because it's destruction protecting for my fusion monsters. So that's really good to go ahead and have in the grave. And this Albion will, of course, now allow me to draw a card. So that's why I said it's basically an upstart goblin, and we drew a trap trick. This is another 2-card combo, and that's another 2-card combo. But starting out, let's just go ahead and normal summon the Aliber. Since we already have Branded Fusion, we're going to add Branded in red, but you predominantly are always going to add Branded Fusion to your hand. So we'll go ahead and add the copy of Branded in red. Next, what we'll do is we're going to activate our copy of Branded Fusion. Its effect will allow us to fusion summon a monster. We're going to do Lubellion the Searing Dragon, and he, of course, takes Fallen of Albaz and a Dark Monster. And the Dark Monster we're going to send to the graveyard is the Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. And if you played Buster Blader, you know how broken that card is and how it's so splashable in pretty much any deck that had Union Carrier when that was still legal. So, we'll summon out our copy of Lubellion the Searing Dragon. Next, we'll use Lubellion's effect. We'll pitch Fallen of Albaz from our hand. We'll go ahead and pitch that. And then we'll shuffle back either one. So we'll just put back the one we just discarded. So we'll put back the Fallen of Albaz back into our deck, along with Lubellion the Searing Dragon. We'll put that back in our extra deck, and we'll summon out our copy of Mirrorjade the Iceblade Dragon. So, yeah, we already have a very powerful monster on board, Mirrorjade. It's a non-targeting banish, and when it leaves the field, your opponent's all their monsters will get destroyed during their end phase of that turn. I'm trying to see. I can extend further. I'm just trying to see what I want to do. Okay, so we're going to start out. We're going to use Mirrorjade's effect. I'm doing this first because I always like to get this end phase to search with an Albion. So we'll use Mirrorjade's effect. We'll pitch the Albion to our graveyard, and we're going to banish the Alibur from our field. So Alibur is now banished. But now that we have Albion in the graveyard, we have a end phase search. So with the 3 cards we have left in our hand, we're just going to set all 3. You don't have to, but I just want to go ahead and get all my cards down on the field. And then we'll move to the end phase, and then Albion's effect will activate to where we can either set or add to our hand a branded spell or trap. And of course, we'll add the copy of Branded Fusion. And this will be a very strong follow-up play. Now, keep in mind, when you activate the Branded Fusion, you are locked into fusion monsters. So this is why this deck is very good at going first. So, we'll pass to our opponent, and on their draw phase, we'll flip over Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. We'll send 1 Destruction Sword card, and then we have to send a Buster Blader for cost. So, the Destruction Sword card we will send is, of course, Destruction Sword Memories. And then we have to send a Buster Blader. So we'll send a Buster Blader to our card graveyard. So now that that is in our graveyard, we can activate this. We'll chain Destruction Sword Memories by banishing it and Buster Blader in any dragon monster. So it can be any of these 3, but we're going to do the Albion because we already got its search effect. We'll banish Buster Blader, the Destruction Sword Memories, and Albion, the Branded Dragon, in order to fusion summon Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. And I tend to play him in defense mode if I'm going first, because if our opponent has Lightning Storm, or screwed, or if they have Raigeki, then Prologue will get to resolve, and we'll special summon the Buster Dragon from our deck, or from our extra deck. Then Prologue will go to the grave. Buster Dragon's effect will activate to where we can equip Dragon Buster Destruction Sword from our card graveyard to any Buster Blader monster. So we'll equip it to our fusion. And then finally, we'll banish the Prologue from our graveyard. So now this cannot be destroyed by card effects or battle for this turn. So what did we just establish? So not only have we established the Buster Lock, the classic Buster Lock, but we did it in a much more easier and simplified fashion because of the branded engine in itself. Keep in mind, we do not have Mirrorjade's effect yet anymore until our next turn because we did use it, but there's always those situations where you do not have to use it on your turn, and then that's just an added bonus. So if we didn't use it on our turn, we established a Buster Lock with a quick banish. And for the cards we have set, we have Trap Trick and Branded Red, and we don't really have to use those right now because unless our opponent has Kaijus or a Rosphere mode, they're not really going to get over this board. So we're just going to say our opponent has to pass back to us, and we draw. So that's another good card. We just got another 2-card combo, but since we already have Trap Trick, I'm not really going to have to use this. I can extend further with my Branded plays due to Branded Fusion, or I could go to my Link plays. Let's see. For this instance, I'm actually, I'm going to do branded plays instead, and then next time I'll do the link plays. So we're going to activate our copy of Branded Fusion. But for this instance, we're going to be sending a copy of Fallen of Albaz that we shuffled back into the deck with a Despian Tragedy, because it is a dark monster. And then we'll summon out, of course, the Lubellian Searing Dragon. Do not use this effect because we need to attack with it this turn, so do not use this effect. Despian Tragedy's effect will activate though, to where we can add a Despian monster from our deck. So the Despian monster we will, of course, add will be a copy of Alibur, the Jester of Despia. So now that we have the Alibur in our hand, what we can do is we can flip over Branded in red. Then we're going to take the Tragedy out of our graveyard. And we're going to do Tragedy and Buster Whelp. Since it's a Despian monster with a light, we can go ahead and banish them in order to summon out a copy of Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. Now keep in mind, Masquerade cannot attack directly this turn, but it can still attack. So next we'll switch Buster Blader to attack mode along with Buster Dragon. And based on what your opponent has on their field, you can use Buster Blader to attack a defense monster, use this to attack another monster. Then you can use Mirror Jade's effect to banish another monster they control. So we could send to Albion to clear their monster away. And then with 2,500 plus 3,000 plus 1,200 plus whatever piercing damage he did and whatever battle damage he did, that's more than likely game. So that was just my first turn, first opening hand, and then pass back to me on my second turn. It's a pretty strong deck, I know, but like I said, Despia hasn't really been that well played recently, which is kind of sad because I really enjoyed the archetype, and it just really gives a boost to the whole fusion engine in general. And I really hope that it eventually gets back to seeing more competitive play. So next we'll get into the second test hand. Let me know what you guys think of the deck hand so far. Like I said, I really enjoy this deck, and I played it a lot at the tournament and just with friends recently, and it still holds up pretty well. There's, of course, stronger decks than it that still exist in the metagame, but you know, that's just how everything goes. When you go, you always have the power creep. It's just basically, just play what you want to play, but expect other players to also play what they want to play, and just be respectful of their choices. So we'll go ahead and ask our opponent to nicely cut the deck. He'll cut the deck. And this will be another going first hand. So we draw into another copy of Alibur. That's very good. Draw into a Spriggan's Kit. That's like our other Alibur. Alibur, Tragedy, and Dragon Blessed Destruction Sword. So as you can see, it's not as good as a hand as the first test hand was. But since we do still have the branded engine, we can still establish a decent board. And we are going first. So we'll start up by normal summoning the Alibur, using its effect to search Branded Fusion. Next we'll drop the Branded Fusion. We'll use the Dark Monster in hand and the Dragon Blessed Destruction Sword to go ahead and get it to the grave with a Fallen of Albaz. And now we also get a deck shuffle. And we'll go ahead and summon Lubellian, the Searing Dragon. We'll use Lubellian's effect. We'll pitch Tragedy in our hand. And shuffle back Fallen of Albaz along with Lubellian to summon Mirror Jade. And now that Tragedy was sent to the graveyard, because that chain resolved, Tragedy will let me search another Despian monster. So we'll search our third and final copy of Alibur. Keep in mind, that's the only Despian monster I play in the deck besides the Tragedy. I play 3 Alibur and 1 Tragedy. So that's the only one we could have searched. Next, what we can do is, since we have Spriggan's Kit in our hand and we control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz, we can special summon this card from our hand to extend our further plays. And now we can search a Branded Spell or Trap. So the Branded Spell or Trap I, of course, will search is branded in red because we already used branded fusion. So we'll add branded red. Then we have to put a card at the bottom of our deck after shuffling, which will just be another copy of the Albert that we just added off Tragedy's effect. So we'll put Aluber at the bottom of the deck. Now what we can do is we can drop the branded red on the Tragedy in the grave and use it with the Spriggan's Kit. Banish both in order to summon Masquerade the Blazing Dragon in defense mode. So, like I said, even though we just opened the pure branded engine, we were actually able to still establish Mirror Jade because we haven't used this effect yet, along with Masquerade the Blazing Dragon, which your opponent will more than likely just keep burning themselves with damage. So, if we pass to our opponent, we'd more than likely have to use Mirror Jade's effect. So we'll have to send an Albion to our graveyard to banish one of their monsters, and then our opponent would more than likely pay some life points, and they'd probably get rid of the Albert that's currently on the field. So on their end phase, the Albion we sent to the graveyard will activate, and we actually can search a branded spell or trap. And the branded spell or trap I am of course going to search is the one we all love, Branded Fusion. It is the very good spell card that really just gave the Despia archetype what it needed. So now that we got our Branded Fusion, this is our current hand, an Albert and Branded Fusion. So we can draw, and we draw Branded Red. That's what I was going to search if I normal summon the Albert anyways. So what can I do here? I can definitely, I'm trying to think, because I can definitely make some more fusion monsters. I can definitely make, I'm not quite sure. I could make a Lubellion. No, what? No. I know what I'll make. Okay, so we're going to drop Branded Fusion. And now we're going to use Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz with a light monster in our Buster Whelp. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it's the only light monster I play in the deck. So with those two, we are going to make Albion, the Branded Dragon. And then with Albion, the Branded Dragon's effect, if this card is fusion summon, you can fusion summon one level 8 or lower fusion monster in your extra deck, except Albion, the Branded Dragon, by banishing fusion materials listed on from your hand, field, and or graveyard. So the fusion monster we are of course going to make will be Alba Linitus. So we'll fusion summon Alba Linitus by banishing the Fallen of Albaz with the Buster Whelp, the Albion in the graveyard, and that's it. So with Alba Linitus' effect, it says this card can attack a number of monsters each time in the battle phase up to the number of materials used for it. So we used Albion, Buster Whelp, and Fallen of Albaz, so we can attack up to 3 times in a battle phase, which will clear out our opponent's field. We can switch Masquerade Blazing Dragon to attack mode, and then if we need more damage, we could just summon Albert and attack for game. So that was another going first hand. For the next game, the next test hand, I'll go do a going second, just to show you, because you're not going to be able to go first in every single test hand you do. But it's whatever. Like I said, this deck is built for going first, but you won't be able to go first in every single scenario. And you have to be willing to play cards like hand traps or board breakers if you go second. And yeah, it's, like I said, it's a pretty fun deck. It's not competitive by any means, but it's a very strong, very fun deck, and that's just what I predominantly like to play. And don't forget to, in the comment section, let me know if you're liking the video so far and all the other videos that's on my channel. I'm trying to just get more quality content out there for you guys, and just trying to get my name out there in the Yu-Gi-Oh community and other communities in general. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the second test hand. This test hand will be, like I said, going second. So we will draw 6 cards. So we draw into a Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordmaster, Buster Whelp, Branded Fusion. So we already have 2-card combo. And then Ash Blossom, got a hand trap, and Destruction Sword Memories. So since we're going second, we'll act like our opponent just did their turn. We have to use the Ash Blossom in the hand, of course. We draw our 6th card, Branded Opening. So with this hand, like I said, you have 2-card combo right here, or 2-card combo right here. But for this instance, I'm actually going to go ahead and just drop the Branded Opening to see if our opponent has anything. Let's just say our opponent negated this, like they negated it with Ash. So let's just say our opponent negated it with Ash. We have to discard the card, of course, for it. But now we can actually do some stuff. So we can normal summon the Buster Whelp, use this effect, search Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. So we'll search our trap card. Next we'll drop the Branded Fusion by dumping the Albaz and Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. So Dragon Buster Destruction Sword and the Fallen of Albaz. To make Lubellion, standard combo that you see in this. You have to do this to get to Mirror Jade, especially if you're trying to get Dragon Buster Destruction Sword to the grave. Use Lubellion's effect, pitch the Buster Blader you currently have in hand, and shuffle back the Fallen of Albaz. So we'll shuffle our deck by shuffling Albaz back into it. Ask your opponent to nicely cut. They'll cut your deck. And of course, I just did that. My bad, guys. Did not mean for that to happen. Next, we'll summon out our copy of Mirror Jade. So now we have Mirror Jade back on the field, and we have our Prologue trap in our hand. So we'll go ahead and set our Prologue, and this is what we currently have in the graveyard. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use Mirror Jade's effect. We'll send Albion to the graveyard. Now this is completely up to you based on what your opponent has on the field. If you want, you can go ahead and banish your Buster Whelp because it's kind of a sitting duck now because we are locked into fusion summoning and we can't just link it away. So if you want to, you can use Mirror Jade's effect to banish this card, or depending on what they have. But for this instance, I'm just going to banish this because I don't want it to be a sitting duck. So we banish that, attack with Mirror Jade, and we move to the end phase of our turn. Since we sent Albion to the grave, we can add any branded spell or trap to our hand or set it. So of course, I am going to add the copy of Branded Fusion for my next turn follow-up play. But hopefully we won't have to have a next turn. We can just make our opponent scoop on theirs. So we pass back over to our opponent, depending on what they have. Flip Prologue, then send Buster Blader for cost, and Destruction Sword Memories for cost. Then banish Memories, Buster Blader, and Albion. Summon the Buster Blader Fusion, and then Prologue will resolve, and we'll special summon the Buster Dragon. Prologue will go to the grave. It's Buster Dragon's effect. It will attach Dragon Buster Destruction Sword to Buster Blader. Then we'll banish this from our graveyard to protect it from destruction effects and battle. And yeah, so like I said, it's just this deck is just mainly built for going first, which I know most decks are in Yu-Gi-Oh, but this deck is predominantly just meant for going first. And I really like how the deck plays. Right now, I currently wouldn't make any changes to it, but I am open to any ideas you guys have. But yeah, I'll go over now the next 2-card combos, and that'll be that. And then that'll be the video, guys. But yeah, if you're really looking for a fun branded deck to play, I would actually recommend pretty much any of them. Like, you can play any version of branded, and you would probably still be good. Like, it's just a very good fusion-based archetype. It just really supports any deck. It can give Blue Eyes the boost it needs. Dark Magician, like you could turbo out Dragoon with this deck if you played in Dark Magician. Buster Blader, you're establishing the Buster Lock. Blue Eyes, you could summon all the Albaz fusions with Tyrant Dragon to go for game. Like it's just really, really good, and I just really love the branded archetype in general. So I'm gonna literally get out all the 2-card combos so you can see what I am talking about of how many 2-card combos there currently are in this deck. But yeah, you can already see that it's already like starting. But like I said, this deck is just, you have a lot of ways of getting your 2-card combos, but it's not guaranteed every time, which kind of sucks, but I wish it was. I actually learned this deck preparing for that tournament, and I watched Dark Arm Duelist's video. If you want to see another version of Branded Buster Blader, you can go watch this video. I highly recommend it. So these are all the 2-card combos. I'll lay them out here just like I was doing a deck profile, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But so we have, of course, the 3 Buster Whelps. Buster Whelps is pretty much what you're going to be playing to summon out and get your copy of Prologue. Then, of course, you have the 2 Spriggan's Kit. It is just like your 4th and 5th copies of Aluber, because it will search you a Branded Spell or Trap, and you can kind of unbrick your hand if you have too many Buster Bladers in, you can just put one back to your deck. And then, of course, our main normal summon for the Branded Spells and Traps is Aluber. This card is very, very good. But you know, people know how to stop it now with Imperm and Valor. And then this is actually another one, Foolish Burial with Tragedy. If you activate Foolish Burial, you can send Tragedy to your grave, and then Tragedy will search you your Aluber. Aluber can search you your Branded Fusion. Then the main spells, which was the Branded Fusion. It's the main summonable card in the deck that we use to get into our fusion monsters. And yeah, it's what we're mostly going to be searching with Aluber. Then we have 3 copies of Opening. It's, you discard a card, you summon the Aluber, then Aluber will search you the Branded Fusion. And when it hits the grave, it's destruction protecting your fusion monsters. And then for the traps, the 3 Prologue, the Send Your Destruction Sword Memories and a Buster Blader, and the 3 Trap Tricks. So these can basically be considered 3 more copies of Prologue. That's all they're here for. And yeah, you can have multiple card combos with every single card you see here. Like I'll just show you, for example, you could have Trap Trick with Branded Opening. You could have Foolish Burial with Prologue. You could have a Buster Whelp with Branded Fusion, an Aluber with Trap Trick, or an Aluber with Prologue, or a Spriggan Kit with Prologue. It's just, like, you see all the different 2-card combos this deck is capable of, and it's just really fun to just pump out the Buster Lock and just see what your opponent can do. And don't get me wrong, people have broken my Buster Lock before. They had to use Lava Golem and Raw Sphere Mode and Kaijus, but I respect it. But yeah, this is just a really cool, fun deck to play. And yeah, so that's it for the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you've been watching Blue Eyes King. Bye.